Welcome back, everybody, to Peak Mastery. This is a Fight Game Epicenter. I am your host, Elvis. Tonight is UFC Fight Night, Kattar versus Chikadze. This is the awesome event to kind of fill in that gap between that pay-per-view that's coming up in a week. The heavyweights, Ngannou, Kane, yeah, fireworks. But tonight, it's going to be an incredible event. It's going to be action-packed, fun-filled. Stay tuned. Alright, so to start off the first event, it's going to be Bill Algeo and Joe Anderson Brito from Brazil. These boys are coming in featherweights, 145. Big boys too. It went to 3 rounds. Judges, fun fight. Talk about setting up the night. These boys came out swinging, especially Brito, trying to make a statement here about who he is, and we're all impressed. Really action-packed first round. Brito just let him have it. Bill have it. Then picked him up, slammed him, hit him with some hard shots. Bill knew he really had no business to stand there, even though he's a tall, lengthy guy. He still kept getting caught. But Bill, stayed as diligent and as comfortable and as confident as he can be, even throughout the danger. So that gets that's the vet in him. Went to the second round, and you started still having that fun, that explosiveness that Brito had from that first round. Was being consistent against Bill, putting it up against the cage, holding him there. That's the only times where he actually didn't look too good, and I felt like he spent a little too much energy there. But whenever they did go back to his standing, Bill just kept getting hurt, kept getting caught, and he kind of, his veteran ways helped him actually get through that one as well. It was a fun round as well, and kind of Bill started showing that Brito just wasn't at that level yet, because that pace that he was bringing in, just Brito couldn't actually keep it up till that last round. So he still stayed on him, tagged him when he could, really hovered over him, used that body, that big size, that big height against Brito. Here comes that third round, and unfortunately at this point, Bill knew it. Brito was gassed out. He still had a lot of heart. He still was a game opponent, but Bill was just doing whatever it is that he wanted to do to him at this point, and he just tagged him when he wanted to. Attempted some takedowns when he wanted to. Had him up against the fence, picking him apart. Brito, unfortunately, just couldn't hang, and really impressive guy though. Unfortunately, that pace that he was setting, that was intense. So Bill for the win. Awesome fight. Off to the lightweight, it's going to be the next fight. It's going to be V. Barshov versus Dakota Bush. And Mr. Barshov, being from Russia, that first name, it's really difficult. I don't want to butcher it. We'll just stick to Barshov anyways. It was a 155-pound lightweight bout. It was fun. Unfortunately, it ended in 1 round. It was great, back and forth. Bush, really strong. Very slick. He knew how to mix it up. He knew those really impressive takedowns. Picked up Barshov at a point and slammed him. Barshov, great defense. He really weathered that storm. He was getting hurt though. At one point, he was actually falling back, as you could tell. He was in danger. They start scrambling, but at one point, Barshov has Dakota up against the cage, and he hits him with about a 2-piece uppercut. But that one shot hit him right in that liver. Woo! Dakota went down so fast. The fight was over. The ref came in. Herb Dean, being the experienced ref, he's the man. That guy would have just sustained even more damage. So win, again, an impressive knockout early in the night. Mr. Barshov from Russia. Awesome. So the next fight, and this one is for the women's flyweight bout, and it's going to be Caitlin Chukagian versus Jennifer Maia. A little backstory: both of these ladies had fought and lost to Valentina Shevchenkov, and there's nothing wrong with that. Valentina was like just a hair away from winning and beating Amanda Nunes on two occasions, so that says that. Both ladies are actually former champions in other organizations as well. Jennifer being from Invicta FC before she got picked up to compete in the UFC, and for Caitlin, she was in Cage Warriors, and so both of these ladies also fought earlier in their UFC careers, and they're game opponents. And these ladies come out here and they fight. And with these two specific ones, both of them are vets. This fight really went all over the place, from stand up to ground, submission. As the first two rounds, the ladies, the standing. Chikadze, she had that reach, and she definitely used it. Maya, whenever she did catch Caitlin, she ended up hurting her. But Chikadze really used her size, her build, her strength, and also when it came to the ground game, Chikadze was a little bit better. You could clearly see us whenever Maya was getting the upper hand at a point, she would lose it in that ground game. Time was wasting away. And so while she could have stole a round or two, she didn't. That third round, they kept it all standing. Maya just wanted to kind of get in there and get her hands dirty, so she took a couple of shots just to give one back. But I ended up going to decision. Chikadze ended up taking the win again, and it was fun. Ladies flyweight. Never get tired of the ladies. They're awesome. On to the men's flyweight division, and this is going to be Brandon Royval and Rogerio Bontorin. And this was one of those, they went to decision, 3 rounds, action-packed. It was really difficult to pick the victor. It was really impressive back and forth. That first round, it was Brandon imposing his height. He definitely had some height and reach on him. Very similar to the previous fight, in fact, now that I mention it. But the Royval was, again, being strong, keeping that pressure when possible, getting very creative with his moves, with his attack, with his offense. But Rogerio, whenever they were in the mix, he was a stronger man. He was stockier, build, shots were landing, they were hurting. And then, so that first round could have went really either way. That second round, when those boys were exchanging, still Brandon had the upper hand. But when they were closing in by the gate, on the ground, Rogerio, I felt like he eked it just a bit more. And then that third round, I loved it. Brandon gave it everything he had, did what he could. He actually, at one point, when they went to the ground, almost had Rogerio's arm with that impressive arm bar. It looked like a tap, but it is what it is. He was doing spinning, rolling elbows from the ground. It really was impressive. I just felt, just for the heart and that intention to end the fight, that was what I feel why the judges gave it to Brandon instead of Rogerio, because Rogerio was right there, mixing it up with him, countering with him. So it was really that difficult to decide who was the victor here. But Brandon for the win. The next fight, it's the heavyweights. It's Kattar, Chase Sherman. So Mr. Kattar and Sherman, these guys are big boys, 6'3", 6'4", right at that borderline of the super heavyweights. These guys are definitely packing some weight. One on the softer side, the other one a little bit more diesel. But it was a fun one-rounder. As you already know, these are the heavyweights, so they come out guns blazing. And these boys weren't pulling back any punches. There was no feel-out process here. It was just come in, do damage, hurt, and go home with the victory, right? So it was back and forth up until Collier actually takes down Sherman and is on him, brings him down, pummels him while he can. He full mounts, and he's just going at it elbows. He ends up tearing up Sherman, and Sherman tries, man, and I was like rooting for him to get on up and do a little hip thrust to throw him on over and use that weight to kind of counter it. But he had turned at one point and he gave up his neck, and you could just tell that he was actually throwing in the towel mentally. So Collier goes for the rear neck, you choke, it's over, and for the win. We're here for the main event. Giga Chikadze and Calvin Kattar. Wow, this was incredible. Just a little backstory. The last time I had seen Calvin, he had lost to Max, and that was a hard loss because Max just literally did everything he wanted to do to him. He did. So and Giga is coming off of a very long win streak. He's undefeated in the UFC. So it's been very impressive, both of these guys, and their records and their paths, and they're, top guys in featherweight division, and they're just a couple of wins away from fighting for that title. So this was action-packed from second one to the last. So let's just start it really quick. That first round, Chikadze had the upper hand in the stand-up, and Kattar just kind of going back. There was only one moment where he had kicked a high kick, and he had slipped, and Kattar just pounced on him and stayed on him. And for the rest of the round, Calvin, that was his round. That was great. That second round, it was still competitive, back and forth. Kattar had his moments. Giga had his moments. It was fun, but you kind of started seeing Giga slow down a little bit. And here at that third round, that man's gas tank was already at damn near empty. Giga just kept slowing down, and he just kept backing up, and Calvin just kept going on him. So, constantly going back, you can't let off. There's no power in anything that you're shooting off. You need that firm stance. You need to plant your roots, and Calvin just didn't give him the opportunity to. And so that third round ends, that fourth round, that fifth round, it's all the same. Kattar just pouncing on him, doing what he wanted. And Giga had his moments, and don't get me wrong, Calvin had quite a few shiners himself, but especially in that fifth round, if I was the ref, I would have just stepped in, because there's a couple of moments in the fight where Giga looked like he was out on his feet, and the ref could have really stopped it in. Just because you're swinging back after a barrage, that doesn't mean anything. I feel like it should have been stopped. But anyways, that was a fun fight. It was intense. It had its highs, its lows. It has its knockouts, its submissions. It has its decisions. It was fun. It was, again, a great thing to carry us over to a massive event next week. I'm glad it happened. Again, I'm glad and excited for Calvin and the bright future the man clearly has ahead of him. Giga, I hope he just works on that ground game, because he could have done something, other than having that outcome happen the way it did. For the other fighters, everybody was great. We had the ladies, they're still consistent to the performance of the night. So V. Borshev and Jake Collier in Fight of the Night clearly went to Giga Chikadze and Calvin Kattar. Next week, we got the big boys, the big guns. It's Cyril Kane and Francis Ngannou. We have Moreno coming back for the trilogy. To see the goods, to get the info. This is Peak Mastery, the Fight Game Epicenter. I am your host, Elvis. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Please do continue the support. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what did you think about the event.